Hi, my name is Roy Ginsburg, and I've been a practicing lawyer for over 30 years. Actually, the first 20 years I practiced primarily in the areas of employment law, but the last 10 I've done a lot of business attorney coaching, as well as consulting for solo and small firms, primarily in the areas of business development, practice management, strategic planning, and succession planning. I'm here to spend about 10 minutes or so to explain the importance of client service, because a lot of lawyers somehow think that their clients are satisfied, and the reality is they're not as satisfied as they think they are. And one of the reasons is they make too many assumptions about the types of things that they use as indicators that their clients are, in fact, satisfied. Sometimes they'll tell me that, hey, my clients don't complain, so why? They're not complaining. Shouldn't I presume that they're pretty happy? Well, think about the last time that you went out to eat at a restaurant and there was something wrong with the service or the food. You know, how often did you actually do something about it? I suspect if you're like most people, you don't really say anything and you just walk out and you don't plan on coming back. Well, again, so just because your clients aren't complaining doesn't necessarily mean that they are satisfied with the work that you are doing for them. Two other sort of indicators that lawyers sometimes misread is, well, my clients keep coming back and they pay their bills. Certainly reasonable to assume that the clients are happy based on those things. Hey, they keep giving me more work, they must be happy, and they pay the bills. Look, I've had my share of clients that give me a hard time on the bills, and usually when they give me a hard time, it's not unusual that they're unhappy about something that I may have done. But again, I'm going to debunk the value of those two indicators. Think about, I'm sure all of you, much like me, have used the same, actually get it out of my pocket, the same cell phone provider. I mean, I use A&T. I've been using AT&T for the last, 10, 15 years. Do I pay my bills on time? Yes. And do I keep coming back? Yeah, I'm with them for 10, 15 years. Now, do you think I really, really like AT&T as a cell phone provider? I hate them, as I'm sure you hate your cell phone provider. And why do I stick with AT&T? Actually, I stick with AT&T probably the same reason why you stick with Sprint or AT&T or whoever you're using. Why is that? I have no reason to think that Verizon or Sprint or T-Mobile, whoever is out there, does any better job. In other words, better the devil that I know than the devil that I don't. So again, I tell people there's a reason why there are so many lawyer jokes. They're not necessarily happy with the way you're treating them and the way things are going, but they have no reason to think that your competition across the street, across town, even across the state is going to be any different. So again, those indicators. What's the best way to know if your clients tell you? Another good way to know that you're doing a really good job is the amount of referrals that you are getting. So if you're getting a lot of referrals from former clients or lawyers continue to refer business to you, you know you must be doing something right, because there you have an independent third party, telling the world how wonderful they think you are as a lawyer. And of course, from a marketing perspective, it doesn't get any better than that. Why is that? Hey, you have a new client, you didn't spend a dime to get that new client in the door, not to mention it took you no time to do that. If you're going to remember one thing from this entire 10-minute presentation that's going to help you for the rest of your career when it comes to client service, is manage your client's expectations. Remember, I'm going to repeat that. Manage your client's expectation. If you follow that rule, you are going to be a very, very successful lawyer. Now, what are the client's expectations? Hey, that's your job to figure out. But they have expectations, whether it's based on something they saw on television, based on a movie, based on a previous interaction with a lawyer, or based on pretty much nothing. But they have a lot of expectations. You've got to know what those are. If you manage those well, you will have happy clients, satisfied clients. Okay, one area that lawyers, I think, over my time have found that they way, way overestimate the importance to having a satisfied client is, having a good outcome. In other words, winning litigation, closing the deal. And I don't mean to minimize the importance of that. That's certainly going to make a big deal. But that is not all there is. That's one piece, and there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle about managing that. One lawyer who I know is in the news very recently, as I'm taping this, is David Boies. He was with the Hank Greenberg AIG case. He won, but he lost because there's no damages. What's the point? He actually is known as one of the best litigators in the country. And what a lot of people perhaps don't remember about him is that he lost, Gore v. Gore v. Bush, he also lost the Napster case about a decade ago. So in other words, he's had a share of wins and losses. And I think his clients remain very satisfied with what he does. And what he really does an excellent job of is he manages the expectations of the client regarding the outcome of a matter. How do you do that? Well, what I tell people is you got to remember there are two types of lawyers, and you got to know where you fit in. The one type of lawyer is the cheerleader lawyer. They tell their clients everything they want to have. Now, are they going to have a happy client at the end? Typically not, because they tell them what they want to hear. They think they're going to win. They think that this is going to happen. Inevitably, they have an unhappy client because they didn't manage the expectation well. So that is the cheerleader lawyer. Then you have the chicken little lawyer. What's the chicken little lawyer? They tell you everything that can possibly go wrong with your case. What happens to the chicken little lawyer? Well, they tend to starve. Why do they starve? They don't have any clients. So, hey, I know I have problems. That's why I came to you. You got to help me. The good lawyers, the great lawyers that I've met and that I've worked with, they know when to be the chicken little and they know when to be the cheerleader. Every client, I don't care what practice area you're in, wants to know you are in that corner with them no matter how bad things are. With that said, every client they need to hear the truth about what's really, really going on. And my advice is there's a time and a place for everything. Timing is everything. There's a time to be the cheerleader. There's a time to be the chicken little. Know when the timing is right for delivering those sorts of messages. Another area that lawyers need to manage expectations is how easy are you to do business with? Do you have a website that's easily navigable? Could I find the lawyer bio very simply? Do I know how to get to your office? Do you tell me where to park? Those types of things. So it's certainly a soft touch. There's no doubt about that. But that makes a difference whether you have a satisfied client. Even what you have in your reception area to read. Do you have do you have the local paper? Do you have perhaps the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal? I mean, think about the times that you've been kept waiting at the dentist's office and the only thing there to read was highlights. How did that make you feel? Again, your clients are going to be, no different. Another area I want to talk about, responsiveness. The biggest complaint, you read any article or talk to any ethics official that clients complain about is they don't return my phone calls. You need to return phone calls. You need to return emails. That counts. As cliche as it sounds. Your clients, there are two ways you can communicate with them. You can communicate them by email or by the telephone. Do you ever ask your client which they prefer? I suspect some of them do. If you're like most lawyers, you just do what you prefer to do. And I'm sure that you'll have your share of clients who say, I don't really care, do what you want to do. And you respect that. Then you can do what you want to do. But think about just customizing your service in that way. Another area the final area I want to talk about is billing issues, which I'm sure is near and dear to all of you. If you are doing a good job managing expectations regarding a bill, no bill that goes to a client should ever, ever, ever be a surprise. If it's a surprise, if you get the phone call that says, I'm a little surprised about this or a little surprised about that, you did not manage their expectation well regarding that area. So you need to bend over backwards. You need to over-communicate with some clients and let them know, hey, this is what's going to be coming. It's always a good idea to give budgets, irrespective of your practice area. Again, the key is to manage expectations. So basically, I'm going to sum up this short little presentation with the idea that, hey, now I just learned about a few things that I hadn't thought about when I practiced law. I got to worry about maybe having a good website, managing expectations regarding bill, even reading material in my reception room. Hey. I just graduated law school. I'm a new lawyer. All I got to focus in is practicing law. I don't have time to worry about all these things that Roy Ginsburg just told me about. Well, ladies and gentlemen, all the things that I just told you about in this brief presentation is practicing law. I want to thank you for tuning in.